Hello everybody, welcome to my MCU tier list video. Let's just get right in here. I'm gonna have my own little names for the tiers. Top one will be Masterpiece. A tier I'm gonna rename as Outstanding. B tier I'm gonna call Gold Standard. This is like, nothing's really wrong with the film. I guess it could be better, but it checks all my boxes. Whereas Outstanding might, go above and beyond. This will be the solid tier. Nothing really wrong with it. Could be better, but it's solid. It's a solid movie. And then, oops. We're gonna want to add a row below that. And this one we're gonna call mediocre. It's just kinda, didn't love it movie. And then this one will just be ass. Like the couple Marvel movies that are just actually ass. So let's go in chronological order. And I believe the first one that came out was Iron Man. Iron Man was just I would say it was a really solid movie. It was more than solid though. It really did set the bar for what future Marvel movies would be. So I'm gonna give, this is Iron Man right here, right? I'm gonna give Iron Man a gold standard. It'll be in the gold standard tier. I really enjoy it every time I watch it. Now, the next one was The Incredible Hulk. And this is actually the only Marvel movie that I have not watched in the last 3 years. I have watched it. The last time I watched it was 2012, when I was like 10 years old. So, I do really remember it quite vividly, though. And there were some redeemable qualities to it, but, just overall, it was ass. Terrible casting. I don't know why. I don't know who greenlit Edward Norton being Hulk, but that was just a terrible choice. Mark Ruffalo makes a little bit more sense because at least he's kind of stocky, but Edward Norton, really? And that's just totally threw the whole movie out of whack for me. That was just not great. And then we have Iron Man 2, and I thought Iron Man 2 was actually really good when I recently watched it. I think it was kind of my least favorite Iron Man in a way. I'm still gonna put it in the solid tier because it was a really solid movie, a great introduction to Black Widow and War Machine. So it's got some good qualities there. I think next up was Thor, and I recently watched Thor, and I really loved it. If you haven't seen Thor recently, you ought to go check it out because you're missing out. It is a really good movie. I'm gonna put it in the good tier. It's close to gold standard, but I really want to keep these top 3 kind of lightly populated. Although I know that because I just love Marvel movies in general, there's gonna be at least like a bulk of them up here. But Thor's close to gold standard, but I'm gonna put it in good tier. The next one was Captain America, and I really like Captain America. I'm also gonna put that one in the good tier. I feel like maybe the beginning parts could have been a little bit more entertaining, but overall, I think Captain America belongs in the good tier. And then that brings us to the Avengers, and this is a great movie. This is an outstanding movie. It is close to a masterpiece. And it has aged like fine wine. Like some Marvel movies, I watch now and I'm like, all right, this is a little bit boring. It could be better, but that just it can still keep me engaged. So long after its release. So, we have Thor: The Dark World. It was, I think I liked it a little bit more than most people, but even then, I still put it as mediocre. It was like, I do like Thor's sidekicks. They're kind of fun people. His sidekicks in both Asgard and on Earth, they're all pretty fun to watch. So that's kind of what saved the movie for me. But other than that, there's just not a whole lot going on. It introduces an Infinity Stone, so it's kind of important in that respect, but it's really kind of a bore to watch. And then next up, we have, I actually jumped the gun there. I should have gone with Iron Man 3 first, because that's the one that came out first. And I recently watched it. I really like it. I really like Iron Man 3. It keeps me engaged the whole time. It's had a really interesting plot, and I love how it dives into the psyche of post-Avengers Tony Stark. I really like that a lot of Marvel movies will actually you know, go into those themes that you wouldn't normally think about. And then we roll over into the next year, and we have Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And oh my goodness, I love that movie. I love that movie to death. It is like, in my opinion, it is one of the last, like, well, not one of the last amazing Marvel movies, but it really, I think it kind of marks an end of an era, you know, before it really became kind of like this super marketable, almost kid-friendly series, you know. This was like the last really gritty, sort of more adult-targeted Marvel film, and I really love it. Then we go into maybe a little bit more of a kid appeal, but honestly, even with that, what you could even call kid appeal, it is a masterpiece. And I'm of course talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. The first one is freaking masterpiece. It is easily one of the greatest Marvel movies of all time. And then we go right to Age of Ultron. And I actually think Age of Ultron is a solid movie. Most people think it's ass, but I really think it's solid. It introduced, you know, really, really important characters for later on in the series. And I think the fight scene was actually one of my favorite fight scenes. I really don't like the fight scenes in Infinity War or Endgame all that much, just because they're taking, you know, too big of a space. But I really felt like this one was an interesting fight scene. So I like Avengers, Age of Ultron. And then right after that we have Ant-Man. And this is probably where I'm going to be the most controversial, because I'm not even joking when I say that Ant-Man is a masterpiece. It is such an amazing movie. I mean, the character arc of everybody, like, everybody has like character development to some extent. It's amazing. We get to see Falcon in there a little bit, and I feel like even though we don't get to see all that much of Falcon, like Ant-Man, and like especially like, okay, Paul Rudd is a great actor, and he's able to like carry the whole movie. So you don't even need another like Marvel character there to kind of introduce Ant-Man. Like, he kind of just carries it and introduces himself, and it's such a great origin story movie. Like, there's a few origin story movies in here, but I think Ant-Man is probably one of the best, if not the best, origin story movie. And then after that, we get Captain America: Civil War. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really understand like the point of this movie, I guess. It just kind of was like, what's going on? Why are you guys fighting? It just seemed a little bit pointless. I did like the subplot with like Hydra. I wish they'd focused on that a little bit more, because Hydra's always really interesting to me. And then the way they introduced Black Panther and Spider-Man, I hated that, because I was like, what? We don't know who these people are. And like, when you introduce them in a side movie, then that makes me think, oh, so they're just like side characters. But then nope, they both get their own movie. It's like, what? Like, that's like if they gave Falcon and War Machine their own movie. Like, I love those two, but they're not deserving of their, well, not deserving, they're not like big enough to hold their own movie, you know? It's like, really? But I mean, okay, I should be talking about Civil War more. It's just, I mean, it doesn't really introduce Black Panther or Spider-Man all that well. I mean, I know Spider-Man, you're supposed to know who Spider-Man is, but I don't know, I didn't love it. I loved that Ant-Man was there, but other than that, there was not a whole lot to keep me engaged in this movie. And then we go to Doctor Strange, and I know I'm gonna piss off the Doctor Strange fans, but honestly, I don't hate it. You know, there's not actually like these, like Thor: Dark World and Civil War. There's a lot of elements that I dislike. I don't dislike elements of Doctor Strange. I just don't like a whole lot of elements of Doctor Strange. I think it's way better as it goes along, so I appreciate that, but I wouldn't say it's even close to solid. Then we get into the next year, and this is kind of the year that Marvel really pulled out all the stops. In some people's opinions. In my opinion, one of those stops, I'm putting stops in quotation marks, that they pulled was Spider-Man: Homecoming, which is honestly my least favorite Marvel movie. It is ass. And I think it's ass because I really did not like the villain. I mean, it was an interesting villain story, but I did not like him at all. He did not sell it for me. And I just felt like it was like way too kid-friendly, which I know I'm like acting like a, you know, one of those Wojaks, like, oh, no kiddie movies in my big boy franchise, but like, honestly, like, what the hell? It was just, I mean, it didn't even feel PG-13 at parts. It was just, I felt like it was a little bit more of like Iron Man babysitting Spider-Man than like Spider-Man being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, you know? So there's that. I didn't like it that much. And then we get Guardians of the Galaxy, which I think it's a good movie. There weren't necessarily parts that I disliked. I just kind of, I don't know, I kind of wish it had been a little bit more kind of like the first one. I really like the end credit scene, the very, very end one, where, they introduce Adam Warlock. And I like that because they still haven't kind of like tied that up yet. That's still kind of out there. But overall, yeah, I really liked Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I think it's firmly in the good tier. And like I don't have it ranked in a certain way amongst the tiers. I would say it's probably the best of the good tier. It's close to a gold standard for me. And so that brings me to Thor Ragnarok, and it is an outstanding movie. It really is outstanding. I was amazed. I mean, hearing all the rave about Thor Ragnarok, I was like, could it really be that good? It's a Thor movie. But oh my goodness, it was amazing. The first like 20 minutes or so, like when Hela starts destroying all of the people from Thor Dark World, I did not like that part because I loved a lot of those people, but it gets way better. And I mean, it's a great change of character for Thor. It's awesome that Hulk is there, because like Hulk doesn't get any mainline movies after the Incredible Hulk, so this is kind of like his own movie where he gets a little bit more of the spotlight, so that's cool. But I love it, and I mean the soundtrack, obviously it's amazing as well. And then that brings us into 2018 with Black Panther, and I'm gonna be honest, Black Panther, I think it has a better plot than a lot of Marvel movies, and even has like better world building to an extent. But the characters, oh my god, none of them made any like positive impression on me. Like I liked T'Challa a little bit, but oh my god, I know like Zuri's supposed to be like the relatable funny one. When she made the "what are those" joke, I was so close to getting up out of the theater. Like, I know it was made in 2016, but still. Any movie producers out there, you should really just steer clear of referencing memes. And it's not just that. Like, I don't love the fighting scenes in this movie. I think that the thing I don't like is that Black Panther has a really cool superpower, and they don't use it as well as they could. So I thought it was mediocre. And I'm sure people are gonna hate me for that, but just being honest here. And then, by contrast, we have Avengers: Infinity War. And as it has aged, I think it's aged a lot better than Endgame. I'm going to say that it is a masterpiece. And really, I mean, 2018 was quite a good year for Marvel movies, because Ant-Man and the Wasp was also a masterpiece. Now, if I was to like grade these within the tiers, Ant-Man and the Wasp would be my favorite Marvel movie. I would say it is the quintessential Marvel. I mean, it does everything so amazingly. It is just out of this world. And I think that the plot was outstanding. And it was so engaging to me. And the characters are just amazing characters and there was even more character development in this one. And then we go into 2019 with the first one being Captain Marvel. And I feel like a lot of people either like hate this movie way more than like is reasonable, or they love it way more than it is reasonable. Like, okay, it is not the greatest thing to grace the earth, and it's also not the scum of the earth. It's not ass. Like, if you haven't watched Captain Marvel, literally watch it. Like, and watch it with the mindset that it is an origin story movie. Totally like disconnect in your mind the whole thing about it being like, Captain Marvel being a woman. Like, okay, the one criticism I've heard from people that's pretty common apparently is that they feel like she's too overpowered, which I'm like, okay, in a way I get that, but I also feel like it is it is an amazing origin story. I'm going to put it in the gold standard tier, because it is such a breath of fresh air from, these three origin stories kind of lacking in anything that really engages me. And then we finally get a good origin story movie. It could be, like the next Ant-Man origin story. Like, finally, an origin story movie that really has the whole thing there. The origin of the powers, the origin of the character, the origin of the ideology. It is, I really think it was a really well put together movie. It's a gold standard for future origin stories, in my opinion. And then we have Endgame. And Endgame was obviously an amazing movie. I thought that everything except for the last fight scene was outstanding. The last fight scene, though, I really didn't like it. I mean, I didn't hate it, but, like, it's too much. There's too many people there. Like, it was so hard for me to focus on anybody. And I know, like, the camera focuses for you, but it's like, what? Like, this is just too many people and too many different, like, squad up scenes, you know? And I was like, all right, this is, you're losing me here, you know? And I also I actually disliked the I guess you call it the venue for fighting, you know? Because they were just in this, like, weird, desolate wasteland. And I'm like, really? Like, Avengers, you're in a city. All right, that's cool. Age of Ultron, you're in a city that's in the air. And then, like, Infinity War had a few different fight scenes, and I kind of wish they had done what Infinity War did, where there was, like, you know, different fight scenes. I think Infinity War really smartly split people up so that you could, like, it was really easy to focus on, like, a few groups of 4 or 5 people. But, I mean, okay, an Endgame is an outstanding movie. It had a great ending, in my opinion, and it really tied everything together. And the first 2 hours of it are just some of the greatest Marvel content out there. But for that fight scene, I'm going to put it in outstanding and not masterpiece. And that leaves us with Spider-Man Far From Home, which is, in my opinion, one of the biggest turnarounds in a movie duology, because I hated the first one, but the second one, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I mean, it was funny, it was engaging, the plot twist sort of caught me off guard, but in a way that wasn't like, oh wow, so you're just pulling that out of the hat. Like, it made sense, you know. When I saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, that I totally should have seen that coming, you know. And I had my suspicions, but yeah, it really worked well. And I think that, you know, instead of having Iron Man babysit Spider-Man, Spider-Man takes the reins on this one. And I mean, Nick Fury's there to sort of guide him, but that's what I want. I want guidance. You know, I don't want Iron Man babysitting a 16-year-old for 2 hours. So I really liked it a lot. And I'm really hopeful for more Marvel movies in the future. Hopefully to fill up in these top 3 or 4 tiers here is where I'd want to see them. So far, WandaVision's looking pretty good. Although, I don't know, it's a weird TV show. But hopefully, we get some more great Marvel movies in 2021. But that is my MCU tier list right there. Feel free to argue about it in the comments. And thank you for watching.